So I think one aspect of the divide between conservative giving and liberal giving is that liberals think of it as a government responsibility to redistribute wealth and guarantee social justice, whereas conservatives see it as an individual obligation to give back to the community. Thus, you represent a kind of interesting hybrid between personal work and advocating for the government to change things. So if the LGBT community, hopefully when, secures their federal rights that are the same as straight individuals, what do you think is your personal obligation in terms of philanthropy?
Well, I think I don't know that I'd argue with you necessarily on the broader philosophical truth of what you said, but on the ground with these civil rights movements, it ends up practically being very different, because the civil rights movement learned, and the women's rights movement following them, and the LGBT movement learned the government isn't giving you anything. Not only did these movements not wait for the government to redistribute wealth or take care of social services, the government is the enemy. The government is who we were fighting. We're fighting the laws and we're fighting the courts, so I think for the sort of that general liberal group, which is who I was talking about before, who are the ones that we're all trying to reach and get on our side, maybe yes. But when you're within a civil rights movement fighting for your rights, you've got to be proactive, and the government is who you're fighting. The government is who you're demanding the rights from. The conservative movement becomes your adversaries because they're trying to prevent you from getting those rights. But at the end of the day, they're really not. They're not physically who you have to deal with. What you're trying to deal with is the government and changing laws. But
Bruce, would you respond to this part of Connor's question in this? You've had successes. This CNN poll proves that there's been yet another success in changing the hearts and minds of a majority. When you achieve the ultimate success, will your activism continue? And do you believe all of those folks who are now energized in the LGBT movement, will they continue to be active in some other area, or is it just this movement?
Well, okay, the struggle's never over. I mean, surely we're not going to make a case that the African American civil rights movement is over, or that women's rights is over. I mean, the ERA has never passed. Women technically don't have equal rights in this country to this day, and you look at all the statistics of salaries and Title IX and sports, and nothing's equal. Nothing's even close to being equal. So it would be a nice idea, but the struggle's never over. But we were talking earlier about the far international issues versus American issues, and the question of how would you balance your time between them. When you're starting out as a philanthropist and wanting to have a lifelong association with social activism, which I hope to goodness all of you will, because obviously you're interested in the subject and now you want to put it into practice. At the beginning, you might and you probably should have that moment where you get to decide what causes you're involved in. And that should be a very personal and very passionate choice of where you're going to try and affect change. And in America, around the world, for a certain group of people, for candidates, what are your issues? But the good news and the bad news is, if you're at all successful in that space, if you start doing good work, if you're able to either come up with great ideas or put them into action or raise some money or write some checks, the incoming needs and requests for your everything, for your talent, for your money. What's this class? For your
time, talent, and treasure.
Time, talent, and treasure is so enormous because the world needs so much help, and people need so much help, and there's so much to be done that you actually quickly, and it's a good thing because it means you're doing the right work, you will lose, the balance shifts. It's really not. It's not up to you anymore as to, I'm going to go out and do this. It's much more incoming. I certainly have, I have more requests for my help in all these different areas on any given week or month than I can possibly do. So it becomes just a choice of, you've got, but that's kind of how you know you're in the struggle, and it's kind of how you know that it'll never end, and it's kind of how you know that there's so much work to do, is you look at all of the groups and all of the people and all of the events that need your help, and you got to prioritize. You don't want to overextend yourself, because if you're not coming through for people, then you're not helping anyone. And so it's figuring out, okay, I'll focus on this case today, and the gay rights crisis that's happening in Africa that this other organization needs my help on, they're going to have to wait right now. But Human Rights Watch wants me to get involved in the Southern California Committee, and I could kind of kill two birds with one stone, because I've just learned that they're actually doing great work in Africa. So if I join that committee and help them with their dinner and bring a little Hollywood zhuzh to some of the stuff that they're doing, then I can actually feel less horrified about having to say no to the group that contacted me directly just because I have too much on my plate. So it's, but I think it's all a positive thing, is it becomes, it's like triage. It's more just a matter of 16 candidates in 12 different states all want me to have events for them and raise money for them and campaign for them, and the elections are all in November. And I only have one group of people that I go to that I ask for money. So I know I can't do 16. How many can I do? And who are those people? And let me try and jump in and help the ones I can. And I'm just not going to be able to do it all or do everything, obviously. I mean, there's just way too much to be done.